Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Crimsy and I really hope you're gonna like today's video because it's been 31 days in the making. Yeah, that's right, we're doing a 2019 Inktober sketchbook tour. Inktober is an art challenge that happens every year during the month of October. And basically the rules are pretty simple. You can only draw with ink pen and markers. I also used markers. And what you have to do is you have to draw 31 days following 31 themes. So that's one illustration a day for the whole month of October. And so that's what I did, on top of working full-time and on top of doing YouTube. I just like to torture myself, I guess. So without further ado, let's just dive into my world of madness. So first off, what you will notice is that I kept my canvas pretty small this year, and the reason for that is simple. It's just because I used to have a really hard time just filling up a whole page for Inktober, and I would always get behind and just give up. So this year I wanted to give myself all the chances I could. And the reason why they are hidden is because I don't want to spoil the surprise. So let's get this thing going, shall we? For day one, we had Ring, and for Ring, I really wanted to set the tone for the whole Inktober. As in, I really want to draw a lot of horror stuff. That's my jam. It's always been my jam. And with the new YouTube laws regarding COPPA, I want to make sure this channel is not deemed for children. So let's make it as freaky and as spooky as we can. And so I went with drawing the little girl from the movie The Ring, with, of course, the ring of light behind her. Day two was Mindless, and for Mindless I really wanted to capture the idea of someone who's quite literally losing their shit, and whose state of mind is pretty much unraveling at the seam. Our third theme was Bait, and for Bait I wanted to show some love to my merman out there because we all know mermaids get all the love and all the fluff and mermen just get nothing but scraps. And so we get a mermangler fish because I really like puns, and also, I don't know, I really like him. He's one of my top 5 for sure. And then we had day 4 with the team Freeze. And for Freeze, I have to say I gotta give credit to one of my coworkers for giving me this idea. And it was just genius, and I just went with it because Gorgons are monster girls. I love monster girls, and it was just perfect for this team because, you know, they'll freeze you and turn you into stone if you look at them straight in the eyes. So moving on to our next page. For day 5, we had Build, and for this one I wanted to picture a girl who's building herself back up after her inner demons broke free. And it's a bit of a metaphor on how we fight our inner demons all our lives, and we always have to stitch ourselves back up together every time they take us down. And yeah, it's a lifelong battle, and we get lots of scars from it. For day 6 we had Husky, and for Husky I didn't want to draw a dog, so I went for the adjective husky, as in the husk of something. And I was thinking, you know, what is the husk of a human being if not a mummy? So here you are, with a smiling mummy that's really trying its best to make you smile in return. And next up we had Enchanted, and for Enchanted I really wanted to do something a bit different and pick an item that I would enchant with something magic, and I was thinking of a crystal ball, but instead of being a fortune teller, it's a misfortune teller. And so, well, I guess she will always offer you a discount because all she can give you is bad news, but I thought it was a charming concept nonetheless. And lastly, for day 8 we had Frail, and for Frail I simply wanted to attempt symmetry, which I'm not sure it's a success, but here you go, you have a beautiful little queen of the butterflies. She is fierce, but she is fragile, just like any other butterfly. Moving on to our next page. Ooh, right. These have to be some of my favorite pages. We start with day 9, which was swing, and for swing I really wanted my pumpkin head at some point in this challenge, so I settled to do a pumpkin head girl on a swing, licking our little lollipop and being all cute and creepy at the same time. And then we had pattern, and for pattern I have to say that if you don't know this about me yet, I am a huge fan of Junji Ito, and my work has often been influenced by his because I think he's the king of horror and there's no contesting that. So for pattern, what I did is I wanted to trigger some trypophobia out there, and I know it worked because I got some comments about it. And basically what trypophobia is the fear of holes, or just a pattern of little holes in skin and other materials that remind you of skin. And so the idea behind this theme was to reflect a little bit on what if we lived in a world where the beauty within was reflected on the beauty outside. And the beauty outside now becomes the way that we can know your true colors. And so I wonder what that would mean for a lot of influencers out there, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram, if this was now how the world worked. You know what? I think a lot of them would lose a lot of followers. I'm just gonna say that. Moving on to day 11, we had snow. And for snow, I wrote a little story, which is that a neglected snowman may sometimes turn on their creator or their children, kidnap them and bring them to the snowy mountains where they may never be found again. The town's sheriff did not know that by shooting the snowman, he was actually sealing the fate of his son as well. He was simply too afraid to reflect over the fact that snowmen do not bleed, ever. And so that was our mandatory creepy snowman for the team snow. And last but not least, we had dragon. And I have to say for this one, it's not creepy, it's not scary, it's just a wholesome, fluffy, and gentle little dragon. He's a wyvern, and I imagine him just flying around in the eastern mountains, looking for a friend, living a peaceful life. So let's just leave him be and let's go to our next page. Now, I know what you're going to say, but first we had day 13, which was Ash, the skeleton of a smoker who's keeping it real. It was a good excuse for me to practice drawing a skull, but I have to say, I doubt this is 100% accurate in any way. So yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Day 14, Overgrown, is a theme that I perhaps did get a little bit overboard with it. So what you have is this beautiful lady with lots of limbs, and she also has a little story. Her mother told her as a little girl to eat her veggies in order to grow big and grow strong. And so that's what she did. And so she grew and grew and kept on growing until the creature she became was no more but a tiny fragment of the little girl she was before. I like that it's a little bit meta and that she's literally coming out of the frame to get you, or just to say hi, who knows. For day 15 and day 16, I really wanted to indulge myself in my love for Ghibli movies, especially my favorite one, which is Princess Mononoke. And so for day 15, the legend, I drew the god of the forest, although here he looks much younger than his film version, so we'll just say that this is the bachelor edition of the god of the forest, and just let's keep it at that. And for day 16 we had Wild, and my favorite princess all animation movie combined has always been San. Disney's princesses got nothing on San. She's a wolf rider and she led a whole pack of hogs straight into war, so can any other Disney princess claim the same? No, they can't. But feel free to try and change my mind in the comments below if you dare. As we move on to day 17, we have Ornament, and for Ornament, we have a little story. On the Day of the Dead, as the festival reaches its peak, you may encounter a very peculiar kind of spirit. They are always seeking dancing partners, always smiling. But beware their entrancing eyes, for if you do not excuse yourself after the first dance, you may never be able to stop. As the midnight bells begin their chant, the jolly spirit will lead the unfortunate victim to its resting place and trade places with him. The shady impostor will put on his face, use his voice, and wear his clothes, but the strange red glimmer of light in its eyes shall forever reveal its true identity. For day 18 we had Misfit, and for Misfit I wanted to capture the feeling of not belonging, and so I wrote this. I am but a feeling, a fleeting thought. I slip through the cracks of the faintest doubt. I invade, I seek, and I find. From within I make my nest. I consume, but I never rest. Until you become a husk of your former self, seeking warmth in the emptiness that I left. My sweet child, you have no clue. I belong here more than you do. I may not be the biggest fan of the art itself, but I felt like the poem really added something to it. So actually I really like this one too. And then we have day 19, and I think that's the peak darkness that we reached at this point, because I wrote this. I hear this voice inside my head, always whispering, always daunting me to do things, evil things. I feel like I'm becoming insane, but when I hurt, a peaceful quiet follows, and so I keep the pain going. I make it mine. I take control. I will do anything to keep that voice out of my head, for as long as I can, even if it destroys me, even if I lose the fight. At least I will not lose myself. So again, very dark, but this one was about mental illness, and I just wanted to capture the feeling of being someone who struggles with a mental illness, and so that's for you, my sweet, lovely people out there who are struggling. Just stay strong and try to find help, please. You don't have to do this alone, and stop trying to convince yourself that you do, because you really don't. Now, for day 20, I know it's been a lot of stories, but we have one last one, and then we'll move this train much faster, I promise you. So, day 20 was Thread, and here's our little story for Thread. When the hunt begins, you will hear the most subtle footsteps behind you as you walk at night. If you turn around, your gaze will fall upon an empty street. Keep walking. As the footsteps get louder, you may also observe a shadow on the concrete next to yours. But as you turn around a second time, still nothing. Not a sound, not a sight. Keep walking. The air turned cold, the shadows appear elongated. As you take your next step, you hear shh close to your ear, sudden and loud. You may get scared, but this time do not turn around. Do not make a noise. Do not keep walking. Start running now. Don't know what else to say except that I love my yokai, and I think Japanese culture is really cool when it comes to ghosts. Now let's move on and try to up the pace a little bit, shall we? Everything beyond this point is secret content that I haven't shown to anyone or online anywhere. So let's begin with day 21, which is treasure. And for treasure, I simply wanted a girl who is treasuring her skull of, I suppose, somebody that she used to love, but we all know that demons are not allowed to love anyone, and so all she can treasure for herself are the memories of the one that she lost. And then for day 22 we have Ghost, and I don't know what happened with this one, but it's not my favorite, let's just say that. But the whole idea behind it was that when I was younger I was plagued with nightmares. And so we started hanging a dream catcher in my room, and I would have this image of a ghost lady that would come during the night and eat my nightmares away. Because the dream catcher kind of looks like a spider web. That's the point, I guess. Which is why here we have this spider ghost lady eating the nightmares of the sleeping girl. Moving on to day 23, we have Ancient. And for Ancient, I was inspired by this picture, which I tried to reproduce while adding a little twist to it with a more alien-looking stone head stuck in the roots of this tree that completely grew over it. And I really like this one. I think the line weight in general is well executed. It's one of my favorite. I think it's in my top 5. Right after that, we have day 24, which is Dizzy. And I love this one. What I wanted to go for with this one is the idea that your body could potentially reflect physically how you're feeling. And so when you're feeling dizzy, your whole body just turns into a spiral and you kind of lose control of the structural integrity of your whole body. So I just like how terrible this looks, but at the same time it's like when something looks horrible but then in a good way too. This one is for sure in my top 5 too. But let's go to the next page. For day 25 and day 26, I went with drawing my favorite ghost type Pokemon. And so for day 25 we have Hunter. And the idea behind this one is that for Tasty, a hunter who has a master always finds them tasty. I just always like the idea that a hunter and his master will have a good relationship, but then the hunter will always have this secret desire to just devour his human. But he doesn't do so because he's like, nah, she cool, you know. I'm not gonna hurt her. And then for day 26, I drew what I would imagine a Gengar would look like if he used his move Scary Face. I thought it was just the perfect fit. Next up, we have day 27 with Coat. And for this one, I let myself go and drew my favorite pets, which is just a ton of rats covering this girl. And maybe you don't know about it yet, but I am a crazy rat lady, so I love this drawing. Last but not least, we have day 28 with Ride. And although execution-wise, it may not be my favorite, I still really like the idea of making a zombie horse that is kind of fused with his rider. And it's a zombie creature, but it's not just a horse or just a person. It's like two brains controlling one entity, and the entity itself is pretty disgusting, and I still like the concept behind this one a lot. But let's keep going to our final page. For day 29 we had the theme Injured. And for this one, I went with drawing a psycho character who just loves pain and collects knives and all matter of sharp objects. Nothing deep, nothing meaningful, but it was still a pretty fun image to draw. And I love my yanderes. Then we have day 30, which was the theme Catch. And for this one, I only wanted to draw a cute couple of lovebirds who are imprisoned in a cage. So it was a little play on word, as in when you talk about a girl and you say she's a catch, because they're so in love and they're like the perfect match for each other, but then they are caught and they are in prison, but they don't care because they have each other. And this one might not be my favorite by far, but I liked the idea of it, and I wish my execution was much better because I really liked the little scenario, but hopefully it's not that bad. And lastly, finally, our last theme for day 31 was ripe. And for this one, I simply put the lovely head of a girl on a fruit and vegetable plateau because her brain is ripe and ready to be eaten. And there's really not that much going on with this one, but I really like the execution and how she looks just so blasé. The whole concept of nature morte has always been about just drawing fruits and veggies, and so you also have the head of a girl, which is something that I really like and enjoy drawing. And that's it! That's what concludes 31 days of Inktober. And although I did not finish Inktober on time, which I don't think I disclosed before, but I finished it early November, and just now the video is getting uploaded, so it's like mid-November, but still, although I did not finish Inktober on time, I am really proud of having finished it. It's not a joke, I never even came close before of finishing Inktober, and this is the first time that I managed to do it, and I'm not sure I'm gonna try that again, especially with work. It gets a bit crazy, but maybe next year, who knows, I will try to do it and keep up with it, but for this year I'm still pretty proud that I managed to finish it at all. And I would really love to know, is there a theme that you really liked? Is there a theme that you hated? Did you like the stories that I wrote for some of the themes? Did you think it was too dark? Did you think it was too gory? Anything at all, feel free to leave in the comments below. And I have to say that I'm really thankful for all the new followers recently. I bid you a welcome. I really hope that you're gonna like it here, and make sure that you tell me what you think about this video. I'm always striving to improve. And if you enjoy what I do, of course, don't forget to like and consider subscribing for more content like this. It really helps the channel to grow, and it really helps me in my goal to reach 1000 subscribers in a year. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Au revoir!